Hello and welcome to the Business Growth Show.
I'm Adam from Active Internet Marketing.
And I'm John from Octopus Computers.
And we're going to be hosting this podcast regularly, particularly appealing to businesses in the Stamford and Rutland area. We're going to have lots of exciting guests where we can start to hear about their career journeys and how they've got to the place that they are now. And hopefully there'll be lots of advice and beneficial information for people.
So if you want to stay up to date with everything that's going on, drop us a like and a follow and stay in touch.
Good morning, James. Very excited this morning to be joined by James Belderbos from Belderbos Solicitors. Firstly, just like you to introduce the business and what you do.
Well, good morning, both. Thanks very much for having me. My name's James Belderbos, Belderbos Solicitors, as you said, and I'm the founder of the firm, which opened in 2020, right in the middle of lockdown.
And why did you get into doing it in the first place?
So, Belderbos Solicitors were born out of another firm called Belderbos and Me, which was founded in 2014. Effectively, then we set up, three of us set up a firm. They were two commercial property lawyers.
Mm-hmm.
But should we say there's sort of artistic differences between commercial property lawyers and family lawyers?
Yeah.
And so right at the beginning of 2020, we decided to separate the firms. And I started trading as Belderbos Solicitors on the 1st of June.
Nice. And the firm before that, why did you go into that one? Why did you choose to go and create your own firm?
So I'd qualified in 96 at a firm of solicitors called Marin Dodds, which then became Dodds and Partners. And was a criminal advocate for 6 years. I was then asked to go and join another firm where I started doing a variety of work, variety of litigation, basically dispute resolution. But quickly found out I preferred family law. And I felt there was always an urge to run my own thing. So when I chatted to the guys that we set up with in 2014, it seemed a very natural thing to do. Go and do our own thing, and that's how it was born. It was, I think, it's in you from the beginning, and when the opportunity arises and you're ready, you go for it.
Nice.
Frankly, I wish I'd done it sooner, but I'm sure most people in business would say the same.
I agree.
And did you have quite a few challenges in the very early days that you had to overcome? Because obviously you'd been working in an employed basis to then jump to running your own business. Was there things that you had to overcome to become successful in doing that?
Arrogantly, I felt that I already had a good client base and people would follow me.
Right.
I think the challenge when we set up the firm that we located in a very rural business park.
Right.
And actually you can do very well on your existing client base and recommendations, but it's rather more difficult to attract new work because people say, oh, where's James based? And when the location was mentioned, there was a lot of scratching of heads. Yeah. So as a practice, we opened a second office in Oakham.
Right.
Which is where I live. And as our accountant said, it's amazing what you've done. But there are lots of chimney pots there. And effectively, you have to be where the market is.
Definitely.
So for me, Oakham was very easy. I've got 3 children, so I'm naturally past the community. And you just seem to attract work.
Do you think that footfall element or that natural networking is a key bit of the growth?
I don't think footfall is an element. We're very careful about where we, how we record where each client comes from. And I feel, and probably we're now 4.5 years into the 5th year, I've got recollections of one lovely lady who popped in and said, I was just passing and I wondered if you could help me with some family law. It's not footfall, it's community. And I think if you're part of the community, you do well.
And I guess dealing with family law, you must deal with a huge variety of cases, different aspects that you're helping people with.
Which part of it do you enjoy the most?
Adam, you're absolutely right. There's a massive variety. I was looking at a practice management system the other day, and I've made it my business to contact all the family lawyers in the country that I admire. And I was speaking to a partner of a firm in Brighton,
right?
And we were bemoaning the functionality of some of the practice management systems available. And he's very techie, and he was coming out with all sorts of words. And he said, indignantly, what is your average case? And I thought, is that a techie word? I don't know. And I looked at him and I said, all I can say is that there is no average case. So you're absolutely right. There is a variety, massive variety. And that's the beauty of the job. There's not one case is the same. There are themes that go through it. I very rarely get the reward of repeat business.
Right.
It has happened where people get divorced and they'll want a cohabitation agreement, and then they'll want something out of that, or possibly even a prenuptial agreement. But for me, to answer your question, because of the variety, the reward is just seeing people or helping people navigate separation, because it's not a nice thing to talk about. It's a good thing to come here to talk about, probably to dispel some of the myths, but we're in fact restructuring a family intact. When we talk about separation, we're actually reorganizing a family. But the way we do it, the way we try to do it, is to keep that family intact.
Is that a lot of direct communication between all the parties involved? How much do you have to mediate, or is it more the legal side? How does that work?
It's a bit of both. Good question, John. So we've had recent legislation which emphasises the importance of non-court dispute resolution. Now, that's a bit of a mouthful. Effectively, that means sorting things outside of court. Now, for that, some cases are just not suitable. But we've always based the practice on dispute resolution, so sorting things outside of court. And that does require a lot of talking. But mediation and the collaborative process requires a lot of listening. So it's listening is the most important thing.
You were potentially ahead of the curve then, in terms of you've always tried to take that approach, but now it's becoming more in depth with more mediation. And
I'd love to say I was ahead of the curve. I'm not totally original. I'm not going to claim that. I've trained, when I trained to become a collaborative lawyer in, probably 2015, 2016, I suddenly realized that you could have far better relationships with other family lawyers than really being at the other end of a letter.
Right, yeah.
And so I've always addressed my letters to other lawyers as Dear Fred.
Yeah.
Rather than, Dear Sirs. I get particularly annoyed if I get letters being sent out from the firm addressed Dear Sirs, especially where the solicitor on the other side is a woman. Sort of getting back to your point, I wasn't really ahead of the curve. A lot of the training I did when I trained to be a mediator and went to various conferences was all about the fact that the family justice system is really being privatized. So it's not talked about in those terms, but nobody, by not going to court, who else sorts it out? So you have mediators, you have collaborative lawyers, and you have barristers who often will act as what we call early neutral evaluators. So we'll present ourselves and say, this is our case and this is our opponent's case. What do you think? And actually it really focuses the individual's minds on what they want to achieve. So we do that first. So that's it. It's not really privatized, but you're using the private sector to resolve the issues.
I'm quite intrigued, because I guess you must quite frequently meet people that either one party or both parties have quite unrealistic expectations about what's deserved or fair. And I guess you have to influence people quite a bit to educate them, I guess, what's reasonable and realistic, and manage their expectations quite a lot.
I'm glad you've asked that question, because one of my bugbears in the profession is the amount of family lawyers that insist on using the word amicable. Don't get me wrong, I want all my cases to be amicable. I think sometimes the word dignity is a little better, because amicable is often used by one side who insists to the other that we're going to go to mediation, aren't we? And it's going to be amicable, and you're going to get this, and I'm going to get this. And really, we've got to step back there, because you have to look at each individual case, not necessarily influence, advise, tell people the options and the pros and the cons of a chosen course of action. But that's our role. We're here to promote an outcome which is going to be a lot cheaper for the family. Because as I often say, you can spend all your money on legal fees. Would it not be better to sure you can rehouse and spend the money on the children or holiday at the end of this? So yes, we do try to educate.
Yeah. And what is it you enjoy the most about your role?
Well, there's two aspects to that. There's my role as running a business, which is terribly rewarding when you see it grow. My role as a solicitor is seeing cases concluded and hopefully everybody moving on. I particularly enjoy it when I see people that I've represented, possibly in the street, possibly at a rugby match, that you haven't seen for a while, and they're looking transformed. I remember years and years ago walking down the street in Loughborough, and a lady walked past me. It's like slow motion, wind blowing, and she just sort of said, "Hi, James." I was with a friend who just said, "Who's she?" Sad fact was that whilst I was helping her, she was in a really poor state, so I hadn't really recognised her. And it took me a while to remember who she was. But seeing her transformed like that, those occasions really stand out.
Impactful, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, not to put too fine a point on it, we're making a difference.
Yeah, and that sounds probably more rewarding in some ways than the business element, but it is satisfying to see that grow as well, actually.
Sure. I think once you get the reputation and establish yourself, people will come to the firm, because that's how you grow. That's traditionally how law firms have grown. It's just reputation. In years gone by, you were only allowed to have a brass plate outside your door, and that wasn't allowed to be illuminated. So, things have moved on with websites and all the rest of it. It's just reputation.
And what are your plans for the business over the next 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 even years of growth? Have you got quite clear strategy that you're working towards, or what you're hoping to achieve?
Very much so. I think we said earlier, I wish I'd started sooner. So we started in 2020. I had a paralegal at the time. I offered her a training contract, and she's now qualified 2 years, so she's with us.
Great.
Last September, another solicitor joined who's very experienced, so it's great to have him on board. And in September, we have our 4th solicitor joining. So I think that's steady progress.
Awesome.
For the future. You've got to recognise and go back to where we were before, that you've got to go where the chimney pots are, and I envisage another office.
Right.
We do see people in Leicester, whether it's Leicester, Market Harbour or Stamford, we'll see.
Right, yeah.
Really good. How do you find the recruitment process? Because it sounds, the personalities that you're hiring are probably very key to the success, I would assume, based on the level of mediation and skill required.
I think there's a danger when you speak to any business that they think they're different. I I know that the recruitment process for any business is really difficult. When the solicitor who joined us last September joined, I'd interviewed several people. I had a recruitment consultant, but ultimately, like anything, it's word of mouth and also using your LinkedIn. Yeah. And so last September, the solicitor who joined us was through LinkedIn, and the solicitor who's joining us this September is word of mouth from another firm. A partner left that practice and recommended
very nice
somebody.
Right, how the taking a slightly different tangent, how's the industry changed since you started mid-COVID, which is a very difficult time to launch any business? Probably great for family law, actually, but maybe difficult for businesses, into how it is now.
I think it's fair to say, again, I'm not saying we're unique, but the pandemic and the use of video calls transformed the legal profession massively. So court hearings are often dealt with online rather than in person. The senior judges, in particular Nicholas Mostyn, who used to write some wonderful judgments, very big in family law, was very keen to emphasise that confirmation bias shouldn't be something that judges consider so much. So what I mean by that is that a lot of judges want to see the witnesses give evidence, but if they are doing so by video screen, you can't detect their body language and what have you. But of course, lawyers, judges, we're not body language experts, and that's his view, is that we can still carry on by video. I emphasise, however, that a lot of the hearings towards the end of cases, so like final hearings, take place in person. But I've done mediations online. It means that you can act for people at the other end of the country. So it's changed significantly.
It's created opportunity, but it's also potentially made things a little harder at times as well. So it's a bit of a balance of both there.
I think more opportunity than making things harder, simply because I might be able to do a hearing more easily that's in Derby, Nottingham or Leicester than having, from my office, and having to drive over to various places in the East Midlands.
Saves you 2 hours of driving, doesn't it?
Absolutely, and it saves the client considerable amount of costs. Also, with the cases being listed online, there's no room for the judges to go over, so they're a lot more disciplined in sticking to the hearing times, whereas when you go to court, you can be waiting.
What about the changes with AI and any of those coming in? Do you think that's going to have any impact?
Massive. I was at a business conference a couple of years ago, and one of the members of the audience asked which industries are most exposed. Piers Linney, one of the dragons, said surgeons, doctors and lawyers have got big fat targets on their backs. So AI is massive, but it brings opportunities. It's helpful for a lot of the people entering the profession, because paralegals can do a lot of the searching and preparation of documents. But I don't think it's so readily going to help. It's going to prevent people undertaking mediation and collaborative law, because you have to be there around a table.
Yeah, there's no amount of talking to a chatbot which is going to get around active listening, I think.
Now, I did ask Priya Lakhani, she was a BBC correspondent on artificial intelligence, what her view was on mediation. And she very quickly asked me what my view was. I think the way AI is going, it could get halfway there, but I still think you need somebody there.
That's very fair. If you had to say one particular skill that makes someone a business owner as opposed to an employee, or someone who perhaps doesn't take that risk, what do you think it would be?
I think there are many. One particular one, I think you just have to get out there and ask people questions. Some of the best things I've done is literally approach other specialist niche family law firms around the country. Say, what do you think about this?
Yeah.
And I've never had somebody turn around and say, I haven't got the time. Never.
Yeah.
I contacted somebody about a practice management system yesterday, and I'm speaking to tomorrow.
Yeah.
So you just got to get out there and ask people.
Yeah. Another really good way to assess your competition, isn't it? And then try and define the points of difference so that you're really clear of how you can potentially do a different or better job for people as well. And not only in terms of actually going through the mediation or representing them, etc., but through the other sides in the business and how it supports people and looks after them and the service you provide as well, I guess.
Yeah. Competition's a funny word, isn't it? I think if you're going to practices in the northwest of England or the south coast, that they're only too willing to help and share. Also, you talk about competition, but there are firms throughout Leicestershire and roundabouts here that refer work to me. So if they've got a conflict of interest, they'll phone me up and say, hey, I couldn't look after this person. I've recommended they contact you.
Yeah.
And that's the great thing about collaborative work and mediation, is because those lawyers need a mediator. That they know what I'm like as a ordinary lawyer, if you like.
Yeah.
And they know where my interest lies. And so they refer work. But definitely speaking to other members of the profession is really important.
Sounds like it's more cohabitation than competition.
Yeah. Yeah.
Word of the day.
It's like lawyers are good at making it words like matrimonialization.
It's almost like how German builds words, actually. It's quite good. Put as many together as possible.
So,
yeah, very good. And if you were to start again tomorrow, you have done already in 2020, what would you do differently, if anything?
I think I'd be braver.
Okay.
I'd back myself more. I think the biggest challenges that we have are often ourselves, and things will be okay.
Yeah, braver. How?
More than okay. Braver. Well, I gave the example about one of the skills earlier about just going to approach people rather than dithering around on day one. I would have, at the time, I was looking at niche family law firms all over the country. It took somebody to actually say, well, why don't you go and ask them out for lunch?
Yeah.
And since I did that, it's helped massively.
Very good.
Do you see that do you feel the industry is going to change significantly or quite a lot in the coming near future? Because I guess the shape of families and the makeup of families has changed quite a bit in recent years, and that's probably evolving a pace faster than it may have done in times past. Do you think that the law or the expectations of from that side will change around that, or where do you see that going?
To be honest, I think we're family lawyers are very aware of what people call the modern family. So, for example, there's a terrific opportunity for a government to change the law in relation to cohabitees. It's simply it's just not workable.
Yeah.
It doesn't work for today's society. So, for example, I could have a lady come into the office, and I say lady, it could be a man, but I could have a lady come into the office who's got 3 children at independent school, live in a very big house. Her partner of 20, 25 years has said it's over, and she's asking me what she's entitled to. And the reality is that the law relating to cohabitees is based upon Law of Property Act 1925 and subsequent legislation. So that the advice given to that person is, well, I'm really sorry. And there's very little I can do. I mean, don't get me wrong. There is lots we can do.
Yeah.
And there are options, and you may have heard about footballers' cases where they give a lot of money to their mother of their child, but often that result is only until the child's 18, at which point the house goes back to the father. But yeah, there are things we can do. But the harsh advice is saying to somebody, well, your friend may have told you that you're entitled to half, but that only applies to married couples. And before we get into anybody thinking, oh, that's what the law is, half, it's not. When people say, oh, it's 50-50, no, that's a myth, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah. Do you feel that there's going to be an opportunity for the government then potentially to look at that and make that difference, I guess, because like you're saying, it's something that needs to be considered and debated because it's quite antiquated.
It has been. It has been.
Yeah.
I sat down with Alicia Kearns and talked about it just after the last election. I contacted her before the election, but oddly enough, she was quite busy. But she came around and we talked about it, and we talked about the need for reform. The current government are looking at it. It's a non-party issue. It's not a political issue. But we keep on looking at options that other countries have. But I think in family law generally, it's always a case of everything gets done slowly. So we've only had no fault-based divorce.
Yeah,
since April 2022. So that was
that late.
Yeah, it's shocking, but we've got it now. So sadly there are some people who still want to blame, but that's no longer consideration.
Yeah. Sounds like you're personally being quite proactive then, trying to raise these issues with members of parliament and everything like you described then.
We have to be, Adam, because we can sit here, can't we, around a table and I can tell you about the issues, but when you're faced with people that are coming to the office and raising the problems that you've got, it's very difficult to sit on your hands and do nothing. I'm not original again. Don't think I am. There's lots of family lawyers out there speaking to their MPs and trying to change things. I'm not unique. But there are a lot of lawyers who don't. But no, it is important to
definitely
do what you can.
I hope when people see this podcast, they'll get an insight into you personally as well as the firm. And I think if hopefully not, I mean, being married 3 weeks, but if I was in those shoes, I would want to pick to somebody to deal with you that is taking those proactive steps and is making taking that time out to drive it for the betterment, of families and the people. And I think hopefully that'll be put across.
Care.
Yeah,
I think it is really important. If you think about we've all known somebody who's been through a divorce. Everybody has, or their parents have been through it, and we all know the impact that has on. And you can either do it well, or you can do it badly. And my real wish is for people who are going through that process to really choose their lawyers carefully, and try and keep the conflict to a minimum.
On that, how would you go about, I should say my wife's probably listening, I'm not, but how would you go about choosing the appropriate lawyer to help you?
I think these days, you mentioned AI earlier, you can always ask AI, but the truthful answer is that I'm a member of an organisation called Resolution, and Resolution has always been committed to keeping people out of court. It's what they do. So they've got a website and you can search for a professional on there. Otherwise, it's looking at lawyers who perhaps are mediators, collaborative lawyers as well.
Not going purely down the legal route, but looking more for something out of court. Yeah.
I think you can pick that up from most family law websites. There are practices that have family lawyers in them, and you might say I'm bound to say this, but I think if you go for a niche family law firm, they are really going to, their whole being is about helping families.
Yeah.
So that might
a bit more focus on it then.
Sure. I mean, everybody's working towards the same aim. You phone the receptionist, they're going to be empathetic to your situation. Secretaries understand.
Yeah.
They've seen it. They understand what works. They understand what doesn't work.
Really good point.
But that's the beauty of niche, and I'm sure you guys have seen lots of businesses that focus on small areas and do better as a result.
No, it's great. And I think, like you said, you don't claim to be unique and people are not, but I think, you've really, somebody watching this, you've given a real tangible things that you do that they can relate to, I'm sure, or understand in terms of how you really try and separate yourself from potentially other people out there and what the benefits to a potential client would be from using you guys. So I think that's really great.
Sure.
To get that across and video, I guess, is best format to do that in. So it's good. Yeah.
I hasten to add that whilst we do try our best to keep people out of court, there are some people, sadly, that we have to say to them, day one, that I'm afraid you're going to have to go to court.
This is the best way to go. Yeah.
Personal protection is very important.
Yeah.
If somebody is being abused, to take them down the mediation route is not going to help them.
Yeah,
of course.
Definitely. And on a slightly more upbeat note,
it is a bit
morose.
If you don't mind, tell us a bit more about yourself, James. Your hobbies and what you enjoy doing. And you mentioned you got children and you live in Rutland. And tell us a bit about what you really like about that.
Okay, so my father was in retail. The name Belderbos comes from the fact that my grandfather came over from the Netherlands to help a company called C&A establish.
Wow.
Everybody remembers them for their ski wear.
Yeah.
Rodeo ski wear. So the background for the family is very much, get up and go and do things. All members of my family have their own businesses. But for me, I moved around the country. I was born in Birmingham, Solihull, brought up in Newcastle. Stood on the terraces watching Gascoigne and Beardsley and Waffle and people like that. So I love sport. Also played rugby at Gosforth, which became Newcastle Falcons. And moved down to the Midlands, which was a bit of a shock to the system. And then stood on the terraces at Welford Road watching the Tigers. Then it was a bit difficult travelling up to Newcastle all the time. So I got a season ticket holder at Leicester City. But I've got 3 kids. They all love sport.
Yeah.
And what's great is I really think it's important, sport. There was Radio 4 was talking about the obsession with sport. And I think it's really important because you look at the community in Oakham, you've got the Bowls Club, the Rugby Club, a couple of football clubs. And all my kids have all, apart from the bowling club, have played at them all. So, we sponsor those as well.
Oh, very good. I haven't got a hint of a Geordie accent either. You can't. I bet you could if you wanted.
I could, but I won't. The kids in Leicestershire thought I was Scottish when I came there. So there you go.
Very good. And do you want to promote anything or tell anybody where they can find out more about yourself and the company?
In terms of promotion, thank you very much. I think informing themselves of the options that are available, and they don't, if they're getting a divorce, they don't just need a divorce lawyer. They need somebody who understands the options. But we're based in Oakham, in the middle of Oakham. Yep. We have a website, Belderbos Listers, and you Google us. You might get my brother first, who's a landscape architect, but he's based down in Wimbledon. But no, Google us and you'll find us. With a name like Belderbos, it's difficult to hide.
It's hard to find the wrong ones. And if people were considering these things or anything along the lines of separation, are they best to Google for a family lawyer first? Are there places they could go for help? Anything like that?
So, as I said, depending depending how far afield they are, they're obviously more than welcome to contact us. Resolution is a really good website to find a professional if you don't know where to find one. The challenge, John, is that people sometimes don't like to ask friends or relatives or family. It's very secretive.
Yeah.
So we do get people contacting us online.
Oh, very good. Thank you very much for coming in.
Pleasure. No, thank you both for having me.
Enjoyed that. And I think, like I said, hopefully, I think people could find it really beneficial and see exactly how you would look after them as best you can through that. And you're proactively trying to improve things within the whole industry, if you would call it that, to make it better for people. Yeah, that's great.
Thanks a lot.
No, thank you.
Thanks for watching today's episode. I hope you really enjoyed listening to our guest and us waffle our way through a fun conversation.
If you'd like to appear as a guest on the Business Growth Show, then do send us a message on LinkedIn and we'll come back to you and get it scheduled.